So you've probably heard the rumors flying around. Australia's gonna ban more visas. Politicians are cracking down. Pack your bags because the visa party is over. Before you start panicking, selling your furniture, and booking a one-way flight, let's take a deep breath and break things down logically. What's actually going on? Why is there so much political heat around immigration? And most importantly, do you really need to worry? The political heat is rising. If you've been keeping up with Australian politics lately, which, let's be honest, is as dramatic as a kangaroo boxing match, you'll know that immigration is dominating discussions. It's not a calm, rational debate over a few beers at the pub. Instead, it's politicians pointing fingers, news headlines screaming about border control, and everyday Aussies debating over their morning coffee about whether migration is a benefit or a burden. The pressure is mounting, with government officials facing demands to tighten visa regulations. Some argue that migration is crucial for economic growth, while others claim it's straining infrastructure, housing, and public services. The big question remains: what does this all mean for visa holders and hopeful migrants? Let's unpack it. Why? Because Australia is changing, and fast. Housing prices, sky high. Job market, tight. Infrastructure, struggling to keep up. When things get tough, politicians look for easy targets. And right now, visas and migration are in the spotlight. Some are saying, we need fewer people coming in until we sort things out. Others argue, we need skilled migrants or the economy will collapse. So, what's actually happening with visas? Let's break down the biggest pressure points. 1. Work visas under the microscope. Now, let's talk about work visas, the backbone of Australia's skilled migration program. And for years, skilled migrants have played a crucial role in filling labor shortages, driving innovation, and supporting the economy. Businesses love hiring them because they bring expertise, experience, and often a willingness to work in industries struggling to find local talent. But the government? They're starting to question whether the system is too lenient. There's growing concern that some employers are taking advantage of the program to bring in cheaper labor instead of investing in local workers. As a result, major changes are on the horizon. There's talk of raising the minimum salary threshold for employer-sponsored visas, ensuring businesses can't just hire foreign workers at lower wages. This move is meant to protect Australian job seekers and make sure migration benefits the economy fairly. Another major shift? Shrinking the occupation list, meaning only the most in-demand jobs will qualify for visas. If your profession isn't considered critical, your chances of securing a visa could drop significantly. On top of that, transitioning from a temporary work visa to permanent residency is expected to become even more challenging. 2. The permanent residency squeeze. Now, PR is the holy grail, right? Once you secure it, you're set. Access to healthcare, job security, and the ability to stay in Australia indefinitely. Well, not so fast. The government is rethinking how many PR spots it hands out each year, and the direction is clear. Fewer places, tougher criteria, and a focus on only the most valuable migrants. What does this mean for aspiring permanent residents? Higher points requirements for skilled migration are on the table, making it harder to qualify. Applicants will need stronger credentials, more experience, and possibly even higher English proficiency to stay competitive. Additionally, priority is shifting toward high-value professions. If you work in tech, healthcare, or engineering, good news, you're still highly sought after. But for those in other industries, the path to PR may become increasingly uncertain, as the government wants to ensure that only the most in-demand skills make the cut. Another big hurdle? Employer-sponsored PR pathways are becoming stricter. Businesses will likely face more red tape when nominating workers for permanent residency, meaning fewer opportunities for those relying on employer sponsorship. So, if your dream is to stay in Australia long-term, Start planning strategically. PR isn't out of reach, but it's no longer a straightforward process. 3. Visitor visas and overstayers. Now, what about visitor visas? Australia has long been known for its breathtaking landscapes, vibrant cities, and warm hospitality, making it a top destination for tourists. But even in this category, the government is tightening the rules. Why the sudden scrutiny? Because not everyone on a visitor visa is just here for a holiday. Some travelers arrive as tourists, but have no real intention of leaving, and instead they look for ways to extend their stay. Sometimes by applying for student or work visas once they've entered the country. To curb this, Australia's immigration system is watching visitor visa holders more closely than ever. Authorities are particularly focused on applicants who attempt to transition to another visa after arriving. Stricter checks, longer processing times, and a higher likelihood of rejection are becoming more common for those who try to stay beyond their original plans. If you're currently on a visitor visa and considering switching to a work or student visa, be cautious. The government is actively closing these loopholes, and what may have been possible in the past is now becoming increasingly difficult. 4. The student visa crackdown. Student visas. The golden ticket that has allowed thousands to live, study, work, and sometimes even transition into permanent residency. For years, Australia has been a top destination for international students, offering world-class education and opportunities to stay long-term. But times are changing. The government is cracking down, making it tougher to get that coveted student visa. Why? Because international students are everywhere, and universities rely on them for revenue. Landlords benefit from their rent, and businesses depend on their labor. However, politicians are seeing things differently. They argue that the rapid influx of students is putting pressure on housing, public transport, and job opportunities for locals. Recently, Australia has started introducing stricter measures on student visa approvals. These include tighter eligibility criteria, higher English language requirements, and more barriers to switching from a student visa to a work visa. 5. The political wildcard. Election season. Here's the thing. Australia's next federal election is just around the corner. And if there's one thing politicians love during campaign season, it's blaming migration for all of the country's problems. It's a classic tactic. Whenever the economy slows, housing becomes unaffordable, or traffic worsens, migration becomes the scapegoat. Suddenly, every issue, no matter how complex, is framed as a direct result of too many migrants. Expect to hear dramatic speeches about visa cuts, border control, and stricter immigration policies. But here's the reality. Politicians love making bold promises before an election, only to backtrack once it's over. Some of the harsh rhetoric may just be political posturing rather than actual policy changes. So, while things are tightening up, the door isn't shutting completely. Alright, that's it for this video. What do you think? Should Australia ban more visas, or are politicians overreacting? Let us know in the comments.